Hi BookTube, my name is Juan. I am just one reader and I am here with a very casual weekly reading update, just sharing some of my thoughts regarding the books that I have finished lately, what I am currently reading, and what I will be reading probably until the end of May. So first I want to discuss The Velvet Rage, which is a book that I recently finished. And this was a very quick read. The subtitle is Overcoming the Pain of Growing Up Gay in a Straight Man's World. And this is by Alan Downs. So I picked this book up expecting it to be a psychological exploration of what it says on the cover, what it means, and the challenges that growing up gay in a typically white straight man's world, what that means, what that entails, what that involves, what that experience is like. And what I got instead was, yes, an exploration of that, but it became much more focused on certain experiences, a lot of generalizations, a lot of assumptions, and ultimately it became a self-help book. So it's not exactly a psychological book. It's not a book that wants to really explain what growing up gay in a straight man's world means or feels like from a deeper kind of viewpoint. This is more like how to cope with this kind of situation if you are in this situation, which is a very valuable thing, but it's just not what I was expecting it to be. And it honestly felt a little basic to me and a little simple. Also because this book just felt a little outdated, at least to me. This was originally written in 2005, I believe. So there are some things here that feel a little old and a little outdated, although there is some universality to the experience that he discusses in here. But yeah, overall, I just thought it was a little bit too simple, too basic, too focused on self-help and not really digging deeper into the experience. So I gave it 2 or 3 stars. I honestly don't remember, but it was just not for me. Then I read Playthings by Alex Feby. This is a novel. It's a contemporary novel, a modern novel, and it was written in 2018. So it's a very recently published novel by Alex Feby, and he's a very celebrated writer. And this is following the life of Daniel Paul Schreiber, who was an actual human being, and he was very famous and pretty well known because he suffered a psychotic breakdown when he was in his 40s or 50s in Germany, and this all happened in the 19th century. And this is a very famous case of a mental breakdown or a psychotic episode, which was studied by Sigmund Freud himself, and it has been studied by many other famous psychologists, psychoanalysts, and psychiatrists. So it's a very famous case. It's a very famous story, what happened to him. He has a very, very interesting way of looking at the world and looking at, because of his psychotic breakdown, he starts looking at the world in a completely psychotic way, and it's very, very interesting. And this is kind of a novelization and an exploration of that, but Alex Feby tries to do some other like political explorations in here using this very famous story. I honestly did not care for this book. It might be because I am biased. Being a psychoanalyst myself, I am very familiar with this story and with this case, the Schreiber case, and I just didn't really see anything new that Alex Feby was bringing to the table with this. So it just felt a little bit like, okay, the same story all over again. And yes, His writing is very, very good and very precise and very like on point, but I just never connected with the characters. I never connected with the novel itself. It just felt very detached. And you could even argue that that's deliberate from the author, but I just thought it was very boring, very pointless. There might be some sociological, political things going on here, but I don't really care about politics. I'm not a political reader or anything like that. You know me. I read for fun and for the writing and for the atmosphere and the characters, and this was just very tired for me. It was not for me. It might be for you. So if you've never read the Sigmund Freud article about Schreber, I would recommend reading that instead, or reading the actual journal or diary by Schreber himself, which you can find, and it's available, and it's so much more interesting than this. So sadly, it was not for me. I gave it 2 stars. So that's what I recently finished. Now I am currently in the middle, or well, not so much in the middle. I'm starting 2 books. One of them is a novel, and that is Affinity by Sarah Waters, and the other one is The Silmarillion by Tolkien. So I started reading The Silmarillion because I became really into, or I became very motivated to become more familiar with Tolkien and with The Lord of the Rings and Middle Earth and so on and so forth. I recently watched the extended versions of The Lord of the Rings for the first time, and I just became enamored all over again. I've always liked The Lord of the Rings, but it wasn't until quite recently that I really wanted to get into it, you know? So I had a copy of The Silmarillion on my shelf since I was a child, and I just picked it up. I plucked up the courage, and I have only read the first 2 sections, which, you know, is like the mythical origins of Middle Earth and the world and God, and, you know, this kind of mythical creations and how, you know, the world came to be. And, you know, there's a lot of naming, and, you know, this was called this because of this, and it's very descriptive. It's like reading the Bible of Middle Earth. It is the Bible of Middle Earth, actually. It's pretty much what it is. So far there's no story, there's no plot. I'm not expecting The Silmarillion to be a novel, because I know it's not. I'm not expecting a story necessarily. I'm expecting it to be textured and atmosphere, a textured atmosphere with beautiful writing and interesting world building, and that's exactly what I am getting. So this is what I signed up for, and so far I am not disappointed. Yes, it's a little bit dense, but the writing is very beautiful, very atmospheric. It feels biblical in the good way, like in the storytelling and the sort of creation of the world, if that makes any sense to you. So I'm enjoying it. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what comes next in the Silmarillion. And then the other book that I am in the first chapters of is Affinity by Sarah Waters, and I am feeling kind of lukewarm about it. It's Sarah Waters, so of course you can expect beautiful writing, beautiful but sinister atmosphere, and, you know, those boxes are completely ticked. I mean, she is a great craftswoman of atmosphere, and she's a great writer. But the story here is very boring so far. I am not really interested, but I have heard that this is kind of a slower burn of a novel, and that the beginning is quite slow. So I'm still trying to see how it picks up and when it picks up. But, you know, the writing is very beautiful. The setting, you know, Victorian London prison, you know, it's a penitentiary, so it's good. It's good, and I am just hoping that it becomes better. than it has been so far. So that's what I'm reading right now, and then when I finish that, I think I'm just gonna jump right into the third book in the Life Ship Traders by Robin Hobb, Ship of Destiny. I have absolutely adored the first two books in the series, Ship of Magic and the Mad Ship, and now Ship of Destiny. I really want to see the conclusion of this, and this is not as long as the second. Oh no, it is as long. It is as long as the second book in the series, 900 pages. But you know what? Reading this kind of fantasy, I don't care if it's long, I don't care if it really takes its time, it's just superb. So Robin Hobb, please, please, please do not disappoint me with the third book in this trilogy the way that you did disappoint me with the third book in the Farseer trilogy, because that was a shit show. Anyway, I am just one reader. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment down below if you feel like you want to, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.